So yes, we really named it that. This is the CHUB from Cold Harbor Supply, and that stands for the Cold Harbor Upgraded Bracket. And what this does is it provides a really secure and upgraded mounting platform for your clip-on thermal imager, specifically the Jerry series of clip-on imagers such as the Jerry C Pro, C5, and C2. This will work with all of them. So as a bit of a background, this was developed at the request of a specialized law enforcement unit. They had quite a few binos, but they did not have that many COTIs. And from their testing, they found that the stock COTI mount was insufficient, and they wanted something that was a bit more semi-permanent and a bit more secure. So we looked at the request and we developed this little guy, which is called the CHUB. This thing is made in Canada, and it is made out of a machined piece of 6061 aluminum. It's really strong. We've done a lot of stress testing on it, and it does have a few upgrades over the stock mount. So what gives the CHUB an advantage over the stock Jerry C Pro or Jerry C5 mount? Well, first of all, the Jerry C5 mount is actually even thinner of a gauge of metal than the Jerry C Pro mount. So it's already a giant upgrade if you just get the JC Pro, but the CHUB is even thicker in terms of its material, which makes it a lot more robust. What I found is after a lot of use, these can actually lose tension over time, which is not great, and they can get bent out of shape. Additionally, the way that this adjusts with this kind of spinny mechanism over here in this latch, well, yes, it is toolless and QD. Honestly, I'd almost rather have a tool in this case because it is really, really finicky to get the right tension. Sometimes you have to take it on and off, screw it in and out depending on the nod you have, take it on and off again and make sure you get the right tension. And then it might not even be able to hold that tension as well as something that's a bit thicker because the material is, like I said, quite thin. So the CHUB is just a much more robust solution for your clip-on thermal imagers that can be kind of semi-permanent. You can just leave it on, and then if you're switching COTIs around between different guys in your unit, you just have to switch the COTI. You don't have to worry about the bracket or loosening the bracket or doing anything crazy in that regard. So let's go over how to install it, and how this might be a great upgrade for all of you clip-on thermal imager users out there. So when you get the mount from us, it will look like this. It may not come with the lanyard ring attached, but it will come with a little split ring that you can put on yourself if you so desire. And that was at the request of law enforcement because if you're working in a professional capacity, pretty much everything has to be tied down, and they were making their own little tethers for their COTIs and things like that. Now, we don't include a tether, and the reason that is because it's very easy to make one. You don't need to buy some magnificent, crazy, whatever tether on the market that is probably really overpriced. Do yourself a favor, go on Amazon or your local fishing store, get some fishing wire with those little crimps, and then you can make a wide variety of tethers for pretty much any nod and any device that you have. This will work on all PVS 14 style binoculars and panoramic devices out there that use this part on your nod over here, which is called the infinity stop or infinity collar, and it will simply slip on and screw in. It's super, super simple to install. As you can see, I've slipped it on this katana over here, and then you just take a 2.5 millimeter hex key and you screw it on until you kind of feel it tense up, and there you have it. It is now installed onto your night vision device, and you can easily install your COTI on it. Now, just a word of advice, these are much tighter tolerance than the stock COTI bracket that comes with your Jerry device. So sometimes to put it on, it won't click in. You need to hold the release of the COTI open, put the device in, and then it will latch on, and it will be actually much more secure than the stock mounting bracket. So that's pretty much it for install, or is it? Why is the screw for the CHUB off to the side and not straight up and down or close to the COTI itself? The reason why we did not do that is because we actually believe, while this is a great way of mounting a COTI for product pictures and it looks really official, there are better ways to mount it, including what I enjoy is to unscrew this, turn it so that the screw side, as you can see, is facing to the 12 o'clock position if you were looking at the nods head on, and then screwing it in. So you get this kind of splinter cell effect where you have your night vision tubes here and then your thermal device in the middle. And the reason for that is very simple. So I'm going to just put this nod on, this Team Wendy over here, and put this helmet on just to demonstrate. So now that I have these nods on my head, if I were to grab this airsoft rifle over here, you can see that with the COTI and with the nods mounted, I can easily aim through the optic while maintaining a thermal image. I've shown this in my COTI video, and that works really well. If it were on the bottom over here, you can imagine that it would kind of smack into the buffer tube or the charging handle or the rail, depending on how you hold your gun. And obviously you won't get as ideal of a thermal image because the COTI is going to be obstructed by the solid parts of the rifle. So that was a big reason why we moved the screw to a different position. It's so you can mount it in, I would say, a more ideal position for actual use and not for photos. Another position that a lot of guys really like to run is the COTI on the off eye and towards the 90 degrees. So I'll show you how that works. So if the nod was facing you, you can run the COTI on the off eye and you can have it at the 3 or 9 o'clock position. And you can imagine if you were an off-handed shooter, or even if you were a right-handed shooter and you sighted in your rifle, you'd be totally fine because there's nothing obstructing it, and you still get a pretty decent articulation range on this Team 1D and Cadex here. Pretty much goes up all the way to the helmet, which is also a really great option. Additionally, if you've been following our socials, you know we got these guys in for T&E, and we will be getting these guys very shortly. This is the Nocturne Industries Chimera. And because this guy here uses PVS 14 style optics, it can actually mount on the pano without any issues. So you don't need to get that specific 31 style bracket that you would get for something like a GPNVG or PVS 31. This can take any 14 style bracket, including our CHUB over here, and you can also mount this in various positions. My favorite position for mounting the COTI on a panoramic goggle such as this one is mounting it on the up position. You might notice this looks a lot like the PNVG Fused or any other fusion style panoramic goggle, where the thermal imager is over here. Still get full articulation range, no problem. And of course, this stays out of the way if you are passively aiming through your panoramic goggle. So that's really it for the CHUB. Not too crazy of a product, but something that we developed that's just much more solid than the stock Jerry mount.